Everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we're going to do something we haven't done on the channel before. We're going to do some painting, and I am not a professional painter at all. I enjoy painting minis. I haven't done a lot of it recently, but I'm getting back into it. I'm going to try to paint everything in Tanares Adventures. Now, I'm not going to record painting everything in Tanares Adventures. I'll record periodically as I do different minis, assuming that I actually stick with it. But you can see I've started... what's this guy? Let's see. Last night I started on the Berserker over here. You know, so we just got a little bit of paint on him so far. And the other one was the Construct. I've kind of got a gunmetal base coat there on him, and we'll go from there. But today we're gonna paint the Ghoul. And yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. Now, like I said, I'm not a professional, and the point here is that if I can do this, anybody can do this. So let's get going on this guy. By the way, I've got a kit that I found, the WizKids by Vallejo Premium Paints. Seemed like a pretty good deal. I'll put the link to it in the description below if you're interested. It's got a whole bunch of paints in it. I mean, you can see. Came with a bunch of different paints like this, so lots of stuff. And then I have a few Citadel base paints that were still in good shape from when I used to paint minis a lot, so we'll kind of go back and forth between them. I used a primer on them, of course, first, and I'll put the primer, a link to the primer in the description below as well. Hey, listen, while you're watching this, if you know more about painting than I do, which is highly likely if you're watching this, by all means, leave some comments in the description. Give me pointers, give me tips. This is very much a, you know, as much a learning thing for me as it is for anybody that's tuning into this. So I'm going to try to go similar to what the Ghoul's got on his card here. So obviously kind of a reddish tint to his skin tone there. We've got this scarlet blood color, but I want it lighter. So maybe I don't know if we'll mix in actual white or if we go with maybe some off-white to lighten it up. So don't have, or I guess I could throw in some pink. Maybe no. We'll use the white. Actually, here, we'll put white down first. And then just a touch of the red, because I bet the red is really going to... I always like to put a little bit on the top, that way I can easily see, just by glancing in, what color I'm working with there. Alright, so let's throw a little bit of this in. Alright, let's see how that goes. And I'm probably going to go with a bigger brush, too, to get this initial coat on him. Yeah, maybe something like this. Oh, that's going to be way too dark. Maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. I'll throw a little brown in there, too, actually. Maybe this heavy skin tone color. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. Kind of like the direction that's going in. Maybe a little more brown. Skin tone. All right, yeah, let's give this a shot. Let's see how we do here. So, from what I've done in the past, I always try to start with the lowest layer, so in this case the skin, and work my way up to the things that are on top of that. The idea being it's easier to do detail work on the smaller, or on the upper levels. Again, that's just what I've been told. It seems like it works though in the past. Obviously these spinies on his back we're going to do something different with, but we'll go ahead and just paint him this color for the moment. We're just going to try to get all the different areas that are showing skin. And then he's got a victim underneath him. We'll do something different shade or something for the victim. Probably could go with a smaller brush here actually for some of this. Legs. Okay. Oh, got a spot under there. There we go. The other leg, still gotta do that one. And I could switch to a smaller brush, but we're gonna do that anyway when we get to some of the detail stuff, so. Gotta get his face. I guess we'll switch to. Oh, missed part of his arm here. On the inside of this arm. Okay, just gotta get his face now. Alright, so let's get his face now. Obviously switching to a smaller brush. You can see I am accidentally kind of hitting some of the hair as well, but we're not going to worry about that. We will touch that up once we get a little deeper into this. And those teeth as well, we'll probably actually end up changing the color on that, but since I've already kind of started on them, I'll go ahead and just give them the same color all the way around. That way when I give them a, touch them up with a different color, it'll be uniform. I guess maybe you can see his ears to the hair, but we're just gonna, I think we'll be fine. That might be an ear right there, but we'll be fine leaving it the primer color and just painting it all as if it's hair. Of course, you can touch up any spots that you missed with this. You can use a smaller brush to touch up any spots that you missed with a bigger brush. Just kind of checking for those, like down in here, up here, inside his elbow, inside his arm. And for a lot of people, they're gonna go multiple passes, multiple layers with the same paint. For the most part, I might do that with the heroes, but for the most part, I go just one layer, unless it just really didn't turn out the way I wanted to, and then I'll add a second layer. All right, so we're going to do that rock that he's sitting on next, and we're going to go with a violet gray. It might be a little darker than we want, but I think it'll be all right. So, go. Careful around the victim's head there. Yeah, I think this color's going to be good. I like this. I like the way it's looking once it's on the rock here. It's tricky getting right in there. There we go. I just found some spots I missed for the leg. Let's come back right in there, touch that up for the leg. Okay, I think that's pretty good. All right, so I want to go with I'm going to start painting this guy underneath. I was trying to figure out what to do here, because on the arm here it's clear. It seems pretty clear there's skin there, but I don't know how well you can see the face of his victim, but that looks like a skull to me. So it looks like that's been stripped clean, but then maybe at the neck area it starts being skin again. And then down here his legs clearly have meat because that's all jagged and ripped. So I think what we're going to do is for the arm and kind of down in the neck area and the top or like the very end of the legs here, we're going to use just heavy skin tone. Let's see. Don't need much, because between the two of these guys, there's not a lot of skin there. So let's just go with a 0 brush. Start with the arm, just see how we like the color. Yeah, I think this would be good. A little more in there I'm missing. There we go. Got it. Okay. And we want to get down at the neckline as well. That is tricky. Yeah, we got a little bit on the skull itself, but that, let's see. Well, it does look like, it's hard to tell. I think we're just, it looks like an ear there. It's like the side of the face here still has some skin. Let's try that. Let's see how it goes. And then let's do a little something back here. I don't know, that actually probably is clothing that's ripped, and then down here is definitely body part, but that's like inside of the leg. So maybe that's all we're gonna do for skin. All right, so brought the camera a little closer down just to make sure you're getting a good view of what I'm doing here. And we're gonna go, I wanna paint the clothing, I think, for the victim next. And we're just going to go with sort of this dark green. This is called heavy green right here. So we'll go with that. All right, so here we go. Using just my 0 brush here again. Trying to be real careful around the neck, but remember, if you end up going over a part that is already painted, or especially if you go over a part that hasn't been painted yet, you're going to be able to touch it up later. But better to try to avoid that if possible. And with this one, since you got all the gore and viscera, you're going to be splashing some red up on a lot of this anyway. I like the color. I think this is going to be a good color here for this guy. Just very carefully getting right around where the other layer of paint is. I think we'll say that this right here is clothing. This little bit right here is clothing. You can see in there where I painted that little strip there. All right, and then we're going to say do we have him wearing the same color pants, or yeah, we'll say it was some kind of uniform. He's wearing the same color pants. Definitely got some viscera on top of the pants here from where his guts got ripped out, but we'll say this goes around like this. Oh, shit. See, not a problem, though. Got a little bit on what's clearly some leg. Some torn leg, but we're going to paint over that soon anyway, so not a big deal. And over here, just a little bit, I think right here. Pretty close to done with this one. close. I'm just checking for any spots I might have missed, but I think let's touch up down in there. Okay. All right. I think we're good with that. All right, so I think what we'll do next is I'm trying to decide if we want to do the skull here and the bone and his spinies, or what am I going to do with his spine? Am I going to treat? I think I'm going to treat the spinies as well. On here, it looks like they are just part of his. They're not actually poking out, but I kind of like the idea of them poking out and being like bones sticking out of his back. So we're gonna go with bone white here, and I'm gonna paint the skull on this guy, this right here. I'm not gonna paint his teeth. I'm gonna give his teeth more of a yellowish color, so we're gonna wait on that. But so the bone, his skull, and the spinies back here. And it looks like it could be that he has hair, that the victim has hair still, that it's just his face that got ripped off, but we're going to treat this whole thing as a skull. So down here where it's touching the rock, just trying to be very careful. And where his skin touches, trying to be very careful not to cross-contaminate the paint there at all. Not to accidentally paint onto the rock. Now, one thing we probably will do is come back and darken the eye sockets, just like we will for the actual Ghoul 2. But for now, we're just... It's kind of... I dried off my brush, and now I'm just kind of paint, or like going back over this to try to get any excess paint off. I think I went a little too thick, maybe. Particularly with the eye sockets, but I think when I come back over, and we're going to do a wash afterwards too, so that's going to help draw out some of the detail. Just trying to make sure it's not so thick on there that it's drowning out some of the detail. Okay. All right, then let's go for the bone. Got a little bit on his arm there. Oh, wiped it right off. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Pretty much got that. All right, so with the spinies, let's think about this. We just go... You know, just very carefully kind of tapping them almost. Yeah, I definitely like this. I know that, like I said, on the painting, on the artwork, it looks like these are under his skin, but I like the way this looks. Did I miss one? I think, is there an extra one? I think there's one right there. Wow, I'm gonna have to end up getting like a magnifying glass or something. Even with my glasses in my in my old age, this is starting to get hard to see so close up. Oh my God. And maybe we'll let those other ones kind of be, because they're lower, they're not as protruded, so maybe they'll be under the skin still. Yeah, I think that's cool looking. I like that. So next up, I think we're gonna go with, we're gonna do the kind of the gore underneath. So I was trying to decide between these two, Scarlet Blood, which you can see is more that color, and then Heavy Red. I think I'm gonna go with the Scarlet Blood because then when we do the wash, it'll get even darker. So yeah, that's what we'll do. And see, the cool thing with the gore here is that if that splashes out onto other parts, it's not a huge problem. Which in retrospect probably means I should have painted the Ghoul's loincloth first, but we're already here, so here we go. Paint down in there. Oh yeah, this turned out pretty good. This is looking pretty good. Nice and chunky. Got some more spots here. Into the leg right here. Also, something else that we're going to do is towards the end, once I've got pretty much everything else painted, we've got this special Citadel paint called Blood for the Blood God. It's one of their technical paints that we're going to kind of splash on across the stuff here. And it's designed, here it is. It's designed to just kind of give this gore look, but it's not for, you don't really usually paint it on, you kind of splash it onto the area. So that should look pretty good. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so next, let's go ahead. I mean, really all we got left until we get into some of the more touch-up stuff is the hair and the loincloth. So for the loincloth, maybe this sort of leather brown. Let's see. Or this filthy brown. Let's go filthy brown. I think I could use a bigger brush for this. Yeah. Slightly bigger tip there. Yeah, okay. All right. That's pretty good. So one thing I want to point out is you'll notice that there's a lot of spots. If this was a truly professional, truly professional paint situation, there's a lot of spots here that would, like back there, right? I would have gone back and touched that up, but you know, especially since his skin color there was kind of a custom mix. I'm not gonna worry about it. It's something that you're not gonna see very often. When we do the wash, it's gonna take care of some of that too. And it's, I don't know, for me, it's just not worth the time. So that's one thing. If you're just trying to get some paint on your minis, you can make them look pretty decent, pretty good, really, without having to just spend so much time focused on getting it done. Also, obviously, I've been painting this other Ghoul, mostly off camera, and that's another point that I always try to keep in mind is that if I've got minis where I've got multiple of the same, you can really make good progress quickly, because while I'm painting this second one, the first one is drying, which then means by the time, and this paint, you know, it's such a thin layer on such a small area that by the time I'm done painting this one, the other one's basically dry, and I can move on to the next piece that I'm going to paint on the other one. All right, so next we're going to do the hair, and it's you know, in this, it's, you know, practically non-existent but gray, and so we're going to go with wolf gray right here. Got a little heavy on the side here. I'll see if we can Just kind of wipe some of that up. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's looking better. Yeah, I went a little thick there. Okay. There. Okay, that's looking better. Okay. So next, we'll work on some of the detail, and like for instance, let's go with the eyes, and we're just gonna put a little tiny dot of black. And this kit accidentally came with 2 black washes and no black paint, so I'm going to go with my old Citadel Abaddon Black, which I believe it's still good. I've had this thing for years, but I think, yeah, it looks like it's still good. So let's give this a shot. Just going to drop that right in there. Yeah, just a touch, just to like give it some depth. Like that really is all you need. And then probably really could use an even thinner, more pointed brush than this. I could also use a magnifying glass for my old eyeballs. It's not great, but it gives it something to start with, and then hopefully the wash will kind of take over from there. All right, so the final piece of detail that I'm going to worry about is the teeth, and I'm going to mix, I think, this pale yellow with this khaki to get just kind of a nasty yellowish look for the teeth. Just a tiny bit, because not a whole lot of teeth to paint. Well, that's more brown. Wow, that brown really overpowered it. All right, so we're going to throw a little bit more yellow in there. Just a little bit. Make sure we don't overpower the detail. Just to get a little bit of a different color there for the teeth. I don't particularly care for it, but it's all right. Let's try to get some of that excess off. It's not ideal, but it's okay. It's fine. Do it to this one too, and then we will move on to some of the wash. All right, now it's been a while since I have used Blood for the Blood God, and I'm just trying to remember if I use it before or after the wash. I think I use it before. I think that's the best time to do it, so that's what we're going to do. And again, you're watching an amateur paint, so I think it's going to turn out all right. So what we're going to do is, for the gore area here, we're actually going to make sure that we get that area covered pretty good, but we don't want to, like, again, we don't want to like just sop the paint on, so get it kind of thinned out a little bit, and then just get that in there. And you can see right away it changes the texture of all that and starts to give it a much gorier feel to it. just a little bit of work. And down in there. And one tip with this is to paint sort of away from the source to give it kind of a splash look, like that's, you know, that's where it's coming from. You can also put it on a brush and then use your thumb to like spray it, and we'll probably do that for parts of this here in a second. But let's see. Getting the rock kind of gory there. You don't want to go too over the top with this because it can get ridiculous looking pretty quick, so you got to be careful. But that seems like a pretty good amount for the rock. And then, you know, obviously the ghoul is gonna have some gore around his face and hands. See, right there, that was too much. Hold on, let's see if we can recover that. Okay, that's a little... So you got to be careful. You got to be real careful. Let's spread that out some. There, okay, that's better. So you get all that kind of covered a little bit. And probably throw a little bit onto, like, sliding down his chest or something. Yeah, like that. So there we go. That's pretty good. All right, so I think we're going to move on to the wash now. I've got this flesh wash here. I've almost always used almost exclusively black washes or something like that. But this kit has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different washes. So we're going to try this flesh wash, see what it looks like on the skin. So let's do that real quick. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. So if you haven't used a wash before, it really is, it's a super thin paint. Technically, you can make your own washes out of the paints you've got by thinning them way down. I prefer using the pre-built washes because, again, this is all about spending as little time doing this as possible while also getting a good result. But you can see how that really brings out some of the detail there for him. So this is good. Let's put it on his legs. The whole idea is that the wash kind of seeps into the crevices and darkens them up to give it that detail look. Oh, let's get his face too. We'll use a different wash on the hair. Yeah, that turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with that. All right, so now for the hair, it's gray. So I could go with like this kind of blue wash to bring more of the blue out because it's wolf gray. It's got sort of that blue hue to it. But I think I could go with this umber wash and give it a little more brown. But I think I'm just going to go with the black wash on the hair and the rock. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. I want to put 2 more drops. The wash doesn't go quite as far because it's already pretty watered down. Okay. Here we go. So let's do the hair first. It's pretty thick on the brush. All right, you know what? And then let's take this other brush and sort of sop some of that up. Yeah, there we go. Because I was looking a little darker than I wanted it to, but that is better. And then let's move on to the rock. And there definitely is such a thing as too much wash. However, you can be a lot more generous with it initially because as long as you don't let it just sit, it will pretty easily, you can sop up the too much, the excess. So I'm not as concerned, and you don't have to be quite as gentle or careful that it doesn't, spread over on other parts of the paint because it just sort of, it's just adding shadow for the most part. Oh, I should have used that flesh tone on the flesh wash on the victim there. We'll have to come back and do that. So the last two places I've really got left to wash are the loincloth there and then the green clothing for the victim. Off camera, by the way, I went ahead and put the black wash on the skull there, the black wash on the bone that he's gnawing on, and then the brown, the flesh color wash on the skin of the victim there. So we've got the green wash, and then for the yellow wash, we don't really have a yellow wash. So I guess we could probably put a red wash into the wound, into the gore, and then we've got this sepia wash, which I guess we'll go with that one. So let's do the red wash first for the wound. Go a little bit. Go with my detail brush just because. Nah, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. Let's go with this one. You know what? Let's instead. I'm gonna try something here. I'm gonna do red wash on the clothing as well. Maybe that'll add to the kind of look of the gore. We'll see. This might be a mistake, but we're gonna give it a shot. One thing you'll notice with when you're doing a wash is that when you initially put it on, sometimes it'll look like, oh my God, it's overpowering everything. But as it dries and sort of seeps into the crevices and everything, it generally becomes more transparent and does the job that you're intending it to pretty frequently. It's rare that I've ended up putting a wash on something and really felt like I just overpowered the paint underneath. I wonder if I feel like maybe Blood for the Blood God, that technical paint should have been put on after the wash. I'd love to hear from people in the comments that know, or even your best guess, which way that should have gone. All right, and then, yeah, we're going to put that green wash away. We're not going to use that, but then we'll put the sepia wash on the loincloth. And then I've got to do something with the base to kind of finish it all off. pretty dark. Give it a shot, see how this goes. This might... Ooh, man, that's real dark. I mean, is it darker than the umber wash? That's umber. That's sepia. It's really close, but I think umber is a little bit lighter. So maybe we'll use umber. Okay. All right. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. Nice. All right. All right. So I think for the base, let's just go with heavy red. Let's put some heavy red down. Or, you know what? Maybe a brown. Let's go Parasite brown, heavy sienna. Let's go heavy sienna on the ground. I just think when you're done painting the base one solid color, because you know, the base has all these different splashes from what you've been working on. So getting it one solid color just is a really nice sort of finishing touch. And I'm doing brown, you know, for the ground, but really there's no reason why it has to be anything related to what you're looking at. You could give some really, you know, bright color to make it really pop as well, which I'll probably do with some of these. It just helps to give it more of a finished look. And when you're an amateur painter, doing everything you can to give the mini a finished look, really, every little thing can really help bring it along. And it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. So the more I look at it, that red wash might have been a mistake on the clothing. I probably should have gone green for the victim, but that's all right. Let's do this. Okay. All right. So that is pretty much it. You know, these guys are, I would say if I could change one thing about what I did, it would definitely be what I did with that wash on the victim. I would do blood for the blood god after the wash. And then I would have used the green wash on the clothing instead of the red wash. But other than that, you know, these guys are going to be really cool sitting on the board. And like I said, just do that single coat for the bad guys usually. When I get to the heroes, maybe we'll spend some time, do some additional coats. But again, this is just get some color on your board, you know? Something other than just the gray plastic. Did not take me super long to knock these out. And when you have, you know, multiple, you can, you know, knock them out all at the same time. I think the next ones I'll do will be these dwarves here. We'll work on those in the next video. If we do another video, you know, if y'all end up liking this, then we will keep this series going. No, I touched the brown. It's not dry yet. Hold on. Oh, damn. Easy fix. But yeah, so thanks so much for watching. Come back for more painting videos in the near future, more amateur paints videos. And then we'll also have how to play Dungeon Universalis coming up real soon. Part 3 is the next one for that. We just released Part 3 of how to play the Gambler's Chest expansion for Kingdom Death Monster. Of course, eventually we'll be getting to how to play Tanares Adventures as well. Keep all that in mind. Come back, check it all out. And until next time, if you're bored online, bored offline.